Welcome to the Aftermatch with Kirsten Beeve. Come for the rugby, stay for the Aftermatch. Guess what? We've reached 50. 50 episodes, official episodes, not just specials here and there.
Yes.
50 episodes of the Aftermatch.
Raise your band.
Raise your band, Beeve.
Yeah.
After the first one, we didn't know how many there'd be.
No, and to think we've got not only people who are watching and listening to us on a regular basis, we've now got a thing called sponsors as well with Bushbuck and Black Magic. So we're very grateful. And it's still in disbelief we've made it.
Yeah, very grateful for all of you because you are the reason why we have stuck around. You've made it so fun. Each and every one of you that comment every week, that tell us how much you love the show. People that come up to us in person as well. It always surprises me where people come up to me and say, love the podcast.
And sometimes...
But thank you. I appreciate it.
And as much as it is a big part of our lives on our Star of the Week, Kirst, I sometimes forget that we do this podcast. And when people come up to me and say, great podcast... Oh, yeah, of course.
That's right.
Yeah,
I did that 3 days ago.
Yeah, the Aftermatch. Yes, yeah.
It's a big part of your life, Beeve. Don't ever forget it.
It's the most random places, too, you get told about.
Random places.
At rugby games, people come up, but then...
I'm in full mum mode with a front pack on and another one on, and I have people coming up to me.
I think I had the kids bike riding in a little Coromandel town there a few weeks ago, and someone yells out, love the Aftermatch. Just, as I say, it's the most bizarre occasions that you get reminded about it, but we are very thankful for our 50th.
Yeah, 50 episodes. We love you all. Make sure, if you're not already, like and subscribe to the podcast so you always get notifications about what's coming up, about giveaways that we have, any breaking podcasts or news that we do as well. Let's get straight into the weekend, Beef.
Yes.
Bit of a funny weekend. Only a couple of matches of Super Rugby to sink our teeth into, but straight into our Bushbuck moment. A few to pick from over the weekend, but one that I guess you could say shook you a little.
Oh, did it ever? And to think we've had pressure kicks be put over, we've had 100-metre tries as Bushbuck moments, but this is a little bit different because we don't always recognise the art of defence. But I can tell you, I was about 200 metres away from the Sammy Penny hit on a...
Poor reserve
prop and Armani from the Waratahs, and it shook me. It shook me to think that Sammy Penny, because you could see it unfolding. He just
Is that why you were lost for words? Because you watched it all happen?
He left the line slightly, he got ahead of it, and then from about 4 metres out, he started to lower himself because he's been in trouble for going too high at times. Mm-hmm. And wow, I mean, our great friend Justin Marshall's sort of copyrighted the word bomfa, but there was no other word that sort of could describe it. Sammy Penny, from about 3 metres out, launches at a man, Armani, who I would pick 125 kegs. This wasn't a poor little first five, which Sammy Penny's made an art out of destroying. He lit up a front rower like I haven't seen too often before, Kirst. So without a doubt, our Bushbuck moment of the week for the first time ever is a tackle. And it's from Sammy Penny female.
Luke Jacobson said afterwards, if you're going to come out of the line, you better get them. And he got him. Is there anyone in the game in New Zealand right now that can smoke people the way that Sammy Penny can when he gets it right? Oh, it's not the first time.
No, not so.
He has a tendency to come out and smoke people. Usually first fives.
Yeah, he does like a first five. It's because of the size of him too. Like when they were running out to warm up, the Chiefs, out came Tupaea, then Tupaea, and then Sammy Penny, and I turned to my little mate Cruds and said, geez, it's a big pack they've got out there today. Because Sammy Penny is lock size, but he's just this incredible athlete. There's lots of Lucy's in this country who can hit, but because of the size of Sammy Penny, it's what's behind it. But I mean,
power.
I mean, when Luke Jacobson was talking it through to you, he's another one that can hit. But boy, when someone is running and then launches at you like him, not for me, Kirst. It is literally the times. Like people say, do you miss the game? And like you can be all bravado and go, oh yeah, miss it, would do it tomorrow if I could. And then you see that, and then you just shrink back into the commentary box with a chill down your spine thinking, oh no, not for me.
So he's the biggest hitter in New Zealand when he gets it right?
When he gets it right, it's tough to think of anyone that hits bigger.
He was good last night, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
He had a very good performance.
Just like you talk about when he commits to a tackle like that, but a couple of times he committed to lines. And when I'm saying lines, obviously running off Xavier Rowe or Cortez Ratama. My word, when he commits himself to a line again, Like the only one I can think of this year similar is young Barnes from the Blues. Like it's got to be, you've got to physically want to get in front of that because he is running as quick as a back and there's big knees and arms going everywhere that you've got to somehow convince your body that it's a good idea to get in front of. I'm
Not
fully
for
paid for it. Not for me. It never was. It never was, even as a paid professional. It wasn't for me. But no, I thought he had a really good game. Where does he fit in the Chiefs moving forward into the big games? Who knows? They've got a lot of depth there, but I am a fan. There's just something a little bit different about him. But I know the criticisms of him, that you just don't see it enough. We don't see it often enough in games, comes in and out of games. But from a talent point of view, and I know you should never pick an All Black team or a top team on talent. They've got to do more than just have talent. Geez, he ticks a lot of boxes.
Who else ticked the boxes for you last night? We were with Cruds, who you just mentioned, Aaron Cruden, and he kept saying that Quinn Tupaea is in the best form of his career. Yeah,
and I hate to go back to something we said a couple of weeks ago, but these guys are evolving age-wise and still their body allows it. And I mean, Quinn, again, you think about injury-free. Quinn hasn't had many years of just continuous footy.
And that's what I was I was thinking. If he didn't have that massive knee injury, and not only was it like a year recovery, but then it took him about a year to even get back into the sort of level that he was playing at pre-knee injury, right? If he didn't have that injury, would he have hit this sort of form a couple of years ago, or does it just take time? And was that actually a really good thing for him? You know, with knees, they kind of go two ways with players. Some of them just keep doing knees over and over again, and clearly their bodies just aren't up for it, or maybe they haven't gone through the full recovery process. They try and come back too early. But Quinn is the complete opposite.
Yes.
He took a really long time to come back, and now he looks stronger than ever.
Yeah, well, they often say the strongest part of your knee is your quads, and so he's lucky. He's got a good set of quads on him. But yeah, absolutely. Was it a good thing? I mean, no one's ever going to tell you that sitting out a year was a good thing. However, I get the sentiment and I get the concept that it gives you time to reflect. It gives you time to actually look at things from a different lens. And I never had too many long injuries, but a couple when I was out for about 3 months, you do start looking at things differently and start looking at your own game differently. And there's no doubt he's got strings to his bow now that we didn't think he would have had pre-injury. Like the touches, the kicking, the pace. Like you talk about knees, and you know, well and truly, haven't done a couple yourself.
I've done one.
That knees traditionally slow people down.
Oh, not for me.
Not for you, and not for Quinn Tupaea. You know, like so. No, it's would he be at this point earlier? Maybe not. But I just think he's turned into a leader. He's turned into a very clever footballer. It's easy just to put Quinn in because he's so powerful and such a big presence that he's just a battering ram sort of midfielder. He's not. The subtle touches he's got, his combination last night with Leroy Carter, who's turning into a little surprise package as a 13.
You were surprised.
Oh, well.
Pleasantly surprised?
Pleasantly. And I mean, some of the things...
Even though we've seen him, I know it's not the same level, but we've seen him in the NPC amazingly at centre for Bay of Plenty.
Yeah, and maybe something that I overlooked as far as he's got some experience there. The things that were surprising me is, like, Leroy's not the biggest man. He ran
He's brave.
Brave. He ran
brave and fast.
He ran a few lines last night that you just have to be brave on. Like, he knew that this wasn't a glory line. He knew he was literally trying to set up a quick ruck, and he just put his head down and just gave it everything, got momentum. There was a couple of nice touches with the foot. His passing is very sharp. And then there was one moment defensively, and I sort of maybe harped on about too long in commentary, but the Waratahs had the Chiefs skinned. And it would have been easy, a lesser defender would have come out of the line and tried to shut it off individually and gone, oh, well, we were numbers down, and concede either more points or best case scenario, 20 or 30 metres. But he was patient enough. He linked with the guys inside him and then just let the Waratahs make the decision for him. They shuffled it out, and then he just drifted beautifully and then went and got them. So a couple of really nice touches there from Leroy Carter as a centre. Look, depending on how that team unfolds in the coming weeks, he might just stay there.
And depending, I guess, on when those injured guys come back.
Yep.
But he's going to get a few more games under his belt, you'd imagine.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, depending on the alternatives in the back three, if they impress.
Kyron, did he impress you?
Yeah, he did. And, you know, like defensively, he was he was very good, and like we know what he can do with the ball in hand. So I thought defensively he was good. Coombs Fabling starting to really make 15 a bit of a home for him. He's so busy, and obviously Sinkinson got a debut, which I was very happy to see as a little protege of mine from a few years ago, helping him out, trying to.
What did you do for him?
Well, I tried to teach him how to kick a ball with his foot, not his shin, and I think we got there in the end. So great to see Sinky debut for the Chiefs. Obviously had a good couple of years down at the Hurricanes, but he himself is now injury-free too.
Any other proteges running around Super Rugby of yours that we should know about?
No, well, him and Coombsy were my two little pet projects when I helmed out the YKMC for a few years, and mainly it was around kicking and counter-attack and stuff. So I do sit there very proud when I watch those two get out on the field for the Chiefs.
Okay, talk to me about one more thing. When Damien and Josh both fit and available, what happens here?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think a lot depends on the alternatives and what they see.
Well, who's the better 15? If you're looking at Damien, Ateni, Coombs Fabling, who's the best 15?
Well, Damien's the best at whatever. So
10 or 15.
Damien's your best 10, Damien's your best 15. What you're comparing is the team stronger with Josh Jacob, who's going great at 10, or Etany at 15 and Coombs Fabling at 15.
Yeah, right.
That's what you're comparing. You're not comparing Damien with either of them.
So when do you think they're strongest from what you've seen over the last few weeks? Because we've seen a bit of everything.
To be fair, I think Josh actually plays his best, and I sort of touched on a little bit last night in commentary when Damien's not there, because it puts more pressure on Josh to be the man at 10. If you're at 10, you've got to be the man. And I've played in situations where I've had, say DC outside at 12, and because there's a presence of the bigger playmaker, the bigger dog, you know your job is to be the boss, but you're thinking,
he's going to do it.
Well, there's an alliance, and you talk more. Where when you know it's your gig, you talk. You're the one that decides. You don't have consultation. So, it's an interesting one. Look,
so you would have him on the bench and have Damien at 10 then. When they're both there together.
To be fair, because Damien is so influential, you've got to think he's our match winner. But
he can be your match winner at 10 or 15.
Can he at 15 though? That's the question. And the answer may be yes and maybe no. You've just got to work out, we're going to win a title. Where is Damien McKenzie's influence going to be biggest? And to be fair, have we seen Damien McKenzie this year?
Not a lot.
No.
And we definitely haven't seen the real Damien.
And that's probably a good thing. For the Chiefs. He has torn Super Rugby apart for the last 3 or 4 years.
Exactly. For the entire season. He's been the best player on the paddock. Not quite yet, but there's still time. Yeah. And as long as they're in the mix, which they will be, when you look at the team that they rolled out last night and the players
who are in the grandstand.
Exactly. The individuals that they still have to come back, the Wallace Atitis of the world.
Yes.
They're going to be there.
They finished with a back three of Sinkinson, Coombs Fabling, and Corin. So all of a sudden you're like, well, that's not one you'd have thought. It start knowing that they've got Narawa, Etinana Satoro, Leroy Carter, so there's firepower still there. Okay,
we've talked a bit about defence moments, and I probably went on about this moment, but the defensive moment of Max Jorgensen to stop Inamoni Narawa, as you say, is try. Moments from Max Jorgensen, what was the best for you? Because that was a standout.
That was a standout, geez. You went there because have you ever seen him live? I think last night might have been the first time I've seen him live, unless I've seen Mr. Wallabies.
Yeah, I think that was the last time I've seen. The first time as well for me.
And just I'd say there'd have been half the crowd would have gone there with that sort of interest.
Great player.
Straight away, first touch slices through. Yeah. And I'll put him and Callaway in the same bracket. The fact that they were so busy when the Waratahs looked good, Callaway and Jorgensen were just everywhere, and that for me was, obviously there's the highlight stuff, the try saving on Narawa that you mentioned and what have you.
The big cutout ball to set up the trial.
But for me, it was just watching him live, seeing how busy he was, seeing how much he wanted the ball to be involved. Him and Callaway, both very similar footballers. You can see why both of them have been thrown the 15 jersey at times, and you could easily see Jorgensen at 15, and you could see him being a superstar 15. Much in the way Will Jordan is, I don't think that's beyond where he ends
Wallabies?
up. What? I mean, they've got they've got options there. They've got Wright. They've got Joseph Soileti,
Who's going to be your 15?
Who will be
because
my 15.
We know who your 12 and 13
Yes.
will be for the Wallabies at the World Cup next
I've
year.
forgotten, but I did save it, didn't I? But you can just see
Cried
it.
in Icky Chow if you missed it.
His touches, how he gets into the middle of the field, like he's good under a high ball and he's got all the skills.
He's not on his wing. He's everywhere.
So no, great to see, and hopefully we get to do more Waratahs games. And because could you imagine they were well beaten last night? They were well beaten by a far, far better team who had a forward pack that just went about their work in a physical, brutal way. But could you imagine a Joseph Soileti out there?
Yeah,
like
different.
One guy could have changed. Not maybe the outcome, but geez, he would have been a presence on that field.
Oh, I wish.
Well, I know you would have.
I wish he was out there.
Yeah, probably for
Super
different
round
reasons.
in Christchurch.
As a rugby purist, I know what I was wishing for. But,
I think I'll see him live down at Super Round in Christchurch. Okay.
That's a warning, Joseph. Just be careful.
The Jonas. Where are we going with our 3-2-1s this week?
Well, I tell you what, this wasn't where I thought I'd end up with the 3 points. I really didn't. You know, I like to grade them on significance and what have you. But for the Western Force to go to Brisbane to beat the Reds, who...
Oh, your team, Beeve. They have fallen off a cliff.
They have fallen off a cliff. Les, you need to sort them out real quick. But also had the ability to go into the top 3 last night, Kirst.
Yeah.
They got humiliated in Wellington a week before, and they could go back, regroup, win against the Force, and they're in the top 3, which, of course, we know is the home advantage in finals football. Well, the Western Force, who were 10th going into it...
And my bogey team this year.
Your bogey team came over and comprehensively did them over. And look, I know there were some hat-trick heroes amongst them, but for the conductor and for the man who had his fingerprints over all of it, who's almost the forgotten man in the Wallabies conversation when you think that Carter's come back, who's starting for the Reds, Liner's working his way back. Ben Donaldson just comes over and just puts in a performance which you just couldn't ignore, I guess, if you were Les Kiss. To do it against Les Kiss's team, the Wallabies coach. Real statement performance.
Real statement.
So on top of that massive upset, that to me is almost one of the upsets
of the season.
It's up there with the Drua against the Hurricanes, but the Drua at home, you always give them a chance because it gets done. I didn't give the Force a chance.
No,
not a chance.
Not against your side.
Not against
your Reds.
My
potential title winning team.
Australian potential team. So, look, great work, Western Force. The Reds are in trouble.
Do they not make the 6?
They're in big trouble.
Is a big call, but do they not make the 6 now? It doesn't give me pleasure to say this.
No, it does because, you know, I gave them the best Australian
That's the only
hope.
Reason why it gives me pleasure.
Yes.
Not because I want to see a team fail and fall out of
There's enough quality there that they could get it sorted. And that 5th, 6th position is going to be, it's still up in the air.
Who's it going to be?
I think you lock in the Kiwi 4.
Yeah. You're locking the Brumbies.
And I'm probably locking in the Brumbies. And so therefore it's only 6 really. It's a 5th, 6th scrap.
What you're thinking? Well, just maybe not the Brumbies. Well, maybe not the Reds.
Well, the Brumbies lost to the Waratahs last week.
So who would those potential 5th, 6th teams
the 3 Aussies: Waratahs, Brumbies, Reds.
Yeah, Waratahs was Soileti and a couple of in 2 weeks' time. Considering they've still got 5, 6 games left of regular season, can still make it.
On a side issue, Joseph Soileti coming back to play the opener of the new stadium
against the
Crusaders. If it's not already a sellout, which I know it is.
It is. It's a sellout on Friday night.
He needs to be there. It warrants that sort of star power.
Yeah.
So that's nice on a side issue. Jeez, got distracted.
He's just been named GQ Man of the Year in Australia as well. Did you see that?
Yeah, what do you have to do?
You know GQ? Do you know it?
It's a magazine, isn't it?
It's a magazine.
Yeah.
People still read those?
I used to buy the fishing mag, but I was a subscriber, $6.95.
Joseph's, as we've talked about before, a Louis Vuitton ambassador, Land Rover as well, and now GQ Man of the Year, Sportsman of the Year. There'd be no one else in Australia. He's the pin-up boy of Australian sport right now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Given what we've got on the horizon in 12 months' time.
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking, obviously, GQ, Louis Vuitton, I'm thinking I was a New Zealand Fishing Magazine, and now Black Magic ambassador.
Fishing, hunting,
and bushbark. So
Black Magic.
Same.
You should probably be on the cover of New Zealand Fishing Mag.
Well, I've got a big trip coming out of Black Magic soon, so you just never know what will land.
Make sure you get a good cover pick.
Good things could happen. Sorry, we were back to talking about who's going to fight out for that sixth spot. The three Aussie teams, the Landers. Sorry, the four Aussie teams. The fourth's now on the same points as the Landers.
Amazing.
Yeah,
How great is that?
That is great. They're going to get the boost of Zach Lomax and what he can do. They're off to Vidrua this week.
Yes, that's
season defining.
Season defining.
Well, to be fair, so was beating the Reds. So every week's going to be defining when you're coming from deep.
Surely Zach Lomax doesn't make his Super Rugby debut in Fiji.
Tell you what, it's a welcome to Super Rugby if it is. It is a welcome to Super Rugby.
It is.
Yeah.
There's a story.
He'll want a hard track, not the
sloppy.
Yeah, not the one we've been seeing lately.
Not the tornado.
So Donaldson got 3 cursed. 2 points goes to Christchurch in what was a pretty special evening for the people of Christchurch and I guess New Zealanders watching that, knowing what the stadium meant, knowing the reasons behind the stadium, and seeing the iconic Cody Taylor play his 150th and then go out and score 4 tries. Quite phenomenal. And then last night in Hamilton, we've touched on him, Quinn Tupaea. He gets a point. Who keeps ticking up points? Quinn Tupaea.
He is. I think he might be top of the list right now.
Well, it's funny because obviously we've got our Jonas and we pick the best from across all the games, and then there's the Super Rugby.
The official one.
Well, is that the official one or are we the official one?
Well, the Jonas would be the official, considering we've got the Legends name.
I think there's more status than ours.
Yeah.
But their one, that other one, I think they've got Donaldson and Quinn Tupaea right up there. So
both even Stevens. And both probably got max points last night.
I would suggest
from either team. A little bit more even this year. Remember we questioned it last year because how the official Super Rugby ones voted, the coach and captain from the opposite team give their 3-2-1s out. And you always said, sabotage. 100%. People are going to sabotage it. That's why Damien McKenzie was never near the top, even though every single game he should have been getting you 3 points.
Because a losing coach and a losing captain are bitter.
Yeah.
And they are not going to tell you the reason they lost.
Yeah.
Is the guy that they'd previewed all week, and then he still beat them. So that's why the best players last year, I don't think. But this year,
it's actually, when you look at that top and you see who's in it, Geordie Barrett's in it, Tavatawa Nawai, Tangitau, most of the players we talk about every week are in there.
The only thing with the system, and it's the same as our friends in the 13-man game, it's per individual game, where I think if you looked at the rounds like we do, you actually get the pure best player.
Yes.
Not the best game and 10 playing 11.
Yeah.
How is that fair when one's playing 2 on the other side of the country? So I mean it's nice to talk about it, but without a doubt the Jonas is the most prestigious.
Absolutely.
And they're all fighting for it. They're all talking about it. They all want to know where they're sitting in the leaderboard.
Well, Cody Taylor, let's talk about him. CT 150, 100th victory in Addington. Do you remember when it all happened, 2011, the Crusaders have to play every single match away. They then make the final, which is unbelievable considering everything that had happened to the city, to the people, to their fans. The players all had their own stories from those horrible days in Christchurch too. And then it was a year or two before that temporary stadium was built. And they built such a dynasty that no one could go down there and win in Christchurch.
From a rugby point of view, and look, they still had a galaxy of All Blacks in the team, but I still think if they had somehow managed to have won that final in Brisbane, it would have been one of those things you see on Netflix now, as a story. We played them as the Chiefs. We played them in Napier. They took a couple of games to Nelson, which is, of course, a part of the Crusaders franchise. They played one of the South African teams, might have been the Stormers at Twickenham.
Yeah.
Sold it. I think it sold it out. They just went on a travelling roadshow.
They did more travel that year than any other team still managed to make the final.
Still had their South African obligations.
Yeah.
Their 3 weeks, it could have been 3 or 2 weeks, depending on the time, in 211 who they had that year as far as the draw goes. And they just went about their business in incredible fashion. And then Queensland Reds had earned the right to have the final at home. I think they did finish top qualifier, but for only a second half, I guess, few touches of brilliance where maybe maybe the Crusaders ran out of steam. Who knows? But the Reds were a great team and great to watch at the time, and they got the job done. But that was some story, and yeah, what they built there at Addington.
7 straight titles, and it was built on that stadium because you couldn't go down there and win.
No
teams could win. The hottest teams in the comp, Chiefs would be hot. They got a couple, but not that many. Blues would go down being the better team. They couldn't win down there.
No.
Teams couldn't beat them.
And look, when you compare to what Lancaster Park got to an absolute Mecca Coliseum. Like, I know it pales into insignificance, but it was a phenomenal stadium before the big issue of the tragedy of Christchurch. Massive stands, steep, and it was a real Coliseum feel. And then you go to Addington and they're now Apollo. It was nothing like that. It was small little stands. It was an exaggerated club ground, essentially, 10 or 12,000 there, and it was all temporary. So it wasn't what you'd call intimidating, like a full Jade Stadium or Lancaster Park had got to. But there was just something about it. There, we always joke as Chiefs, probably bitterly, that we used to blame how puggy the field was. You're going up against the All Black forward pack and you're going down there and trying to run them off their feet where you just couldn't. It played perfectly into their hands. And they were, as history would tell us, come finals footy, if they got a finals fixture in Christchurch, they were unbeatable. Yeah. And
they
fair play to them.
Literally are. The stats say they are.
And there's a couple of nice things they did at that stadium, which, it was temporary and it was just thrown together with scaffolding and all the rest of it. But there's a few little things that I think are quite special that they did. I love the tunnel there that they made and constructed, and they've got great imagery on the sideline. And
for those that don't know, all of the Crusader Centurions are on massive posters either side of you as you walk down this tunnel. Yeah. So you can't miss it. All of these legends are on top of you. And
the other thing that's quite cool, and not quite cool if you've been a victim of a couple of them, but on one of the big light towers is every title. And
intimidating when you walk out and you see all the numbers there.
Oh, look, I don't look at it often. Try not to. But yeah, it's impressive, isn't it? Yeah. And like as I say, I think we went down there in 2017, and we'd just come back from Africa, but we felt we were hot and we were going to go down there and play a particular style game. Went down there in June, greasy ball against a great Crusaders team. We couldn't get a thing going. Only lost by 5 or 6, but one of those losses by 5 or 6 that you felt you never were quite thinking you were going to actually win this because they were just so good there. So I'm sure they're glad to say goodbye to it because the new thing is going to be incredible, and I can't wait to get there and the roof and everything. But that place will always hold a significance for Crusaders. And they farewelled it well. Geez, they were hot on Friday night.
Oh, were they what? They just showed everyone, don't forget about us Crusaders.
Well,
what about some of the tries that they scored? Will Jordan, man.
Yeah, Will Jordan continues to amaze. As captain, he could do his own thing. He could ignore the fact that the Crusaders would have loved to have kicked to the corner line out, drove and just quick tapped and throw it over to his buddy Sevu, and they score over the other side. Lester Whainauku.
That was so good.
Put a kick in when he put it in.
From his left foot, perfect.
Yeah, well, I think he's left-footed.
Is he? Okay, still, it was impressive.
It was impressive because when he's done it, I'm like, usually on those cross kicks, there's like probably a 15-metre clear space. And when he put that on his foot, I was like, oh, there's not much room there. Like, is that a good option?
You were questioning him when it was going through the air.
When it came off his foot.
Soaring Sevu Reece.
As it was going through the air, I thought, this has to be perfect, Lester, or that's a bad option.
On the money.
Absolutely perfect. Could not have been.
Swoop.
You could not have gone and put the ball any closer to where you wanted it than what he put it on his toe and did it. So they were powerful. That first 40 minutes, it was the Drua have had a struggling season, but I don't think anyone lives with them in that first 40 because that was back to the Crusaders. Forward dominance.
Fletcher Newell.
Guys like that. Like, not only is he going to be a problem at scrum time, but then he runs around the park and shows a clean pair of heels. But then Cody Taylor and the likes, and you still got to remember there's a certain All Black great to come back into that engine room who will just cap them off nicely, and Scott Barrett. They are going to be a real threat, without a shadow of a doubt.
Tamati Williams, just a quick mention
Yes.
of him. He has picked up an infection in his back and he's been in hospital for a few weeks now. So we're thinking of you, Tamati, and we hope that you recover sooner rather than
Absolutely.
later and just
Get well soon.
get well soon. Terrible to get that sort of diagnosis. He won't be back for Super Rugby this season. And obviously his health is the most important thing. So that is a massive loss for the Crusaders. Just on coaches,
Yep.
Mike Blair,
Yes.
who's the new assistant coach of the All Blacks.
Attack coach.
Scottish halfback. He did a little bit of media during the week, and I want to pull out a couple of his quotes for you to deep dive into, if you will. We'll continue the analysis segment. But basically, he said a big part of our game is how we can deconstruct the defence. This is what he's talking about with the All Blacks. So we talk about turnover ball, we talk about creating counter-attack ball, and to do that, obviously, you need good tacklers or a defence that's able to force errors. But equally, you've got to kick the opposition to get them to kick back to you so that you can find the unstructured defences. What does all of this mean, Beef? What is this destructuring the defence that Mike is going on about?
Well, do you know the first thing that excites me about that, folks, if I'm going to deconstruct the deconstruct quote from Mike Blair,
please,
is we're not going to go box kick to box kick, or we're going to try not to anyway. That's the thing, because that would be construct. That would be literally the opposite to what he's saying. And when I think about some of our big opponents, that's what they want to go, and that's what they want to get you in. But easier said than done. But essentially he's saying it is a bit of a funny thing. People who think teams that kick a lot are boring. Some of the, I guess, I've been lucky enough to be part of some Chiefs teams who want to entertain. Your kicking numbers are actually a correlation with counterattack and being attacking. So, funny enough, some of the best attacking teams are the teams that kick the most because of what he's talking about is creating unstructured play. You only get that if you're kicking well, though. So, therefore, you need to kick in outside channels because then you're guaranteed of getting the ball kicked back to you, which then means you're going to get a disjointed, or what was his word? Deconstructed defence line, because all of a sudden an unstructured defence, because forwards are chasing back to a kick and then they've got to get into a chase line, which they are going to be beside someone that they weren't expecting to be, or what have you. So a good kicking game creates that, but it's a good kicking game which has the idea of attacking too, because you're going to be probably kicking from wide channels to guarantee a long kick back. And turnover ball, that excites me too, but he mentioned that because too often, I think, in the last 2 years, we've seen All Blacks turnover ball, some of our most freakish attacking threats, and I can still see particular games and moments where we turn the ball over and some of our absolute superstars, their first instinct was to kick it back, which is clearly what they've been told to do. Where I think Blair's already come out. I know Renz's attitude enough on turnover ball, what his has always been, unless it's changed in the last 10 years, then it's going to be, this is our opportunity to attack. Because, as you say, on turnover ball, Kirst, the defence, you got to think, the defence is actually 1 second ago they were attacking with the ball. So they're in their running pods. They're all over the place organising their next attack, and then suddenly Artie's got us a turnover, or Tupaea or Quinn or whoever gets us a turnover, then you're going up against guys all over shop. Suddenly you've got a prop standing next to somebody, another prop, and they're panicking because, what are we going to do here? We're looking up and we're seeing Will Jordan with the ball in hand instead of just kicking it back to them. So that's what they want, So the fact that he's highlighted it is exciting, Kirst. Very, very exciting.
Been some quotes this week. Destructuring the defence, ground to pound. We heard last night in Hamilton. Some catchphrases.
The modern world, I reckon, must do a few old coaches' heads in, because I don't think you want phrases getting out. Like, if you're building your team around something, like, to me, ground to pound sounds like an in-house chat, but yet it was all over our coverage.
So how did we get ground to pound?
No idea. I think somebody told Mills' job. So
it's
just
the new role this year. Yeah, talk us through it.
So just so you know, Mills last night
was
sideline commentator. His job is to go to both camps at halftime and go, "Hey, got any messages for us?" Because they've gone away from the halftime coaches interview because I think we all know why.
They weren't saying anything.
If you've watched the coverage, we know why.
So someone has been in that dressing room and come and told Mills all the insights that they weren't supposed to.
Well, I think used language which hasn't. They needed to, sort of dumb it down a bit. But they've literally
used quotes, direct quote,
and so,
ground to pound.
And because we obviously interviewed Damien McKenzie towards the end of the game and said ground to pound, and he looked at it like, well, you shouldn't know about that, So interesting that sort of stuff gets out. It's the same thing. I'll go off on a tangent. When coaches must get fuming when they see like some of their speeches go out on social. Like I know if you're
social media,
if you're a fan, it's great.
Oh, it's amazing.
And like I couldn't care two hoots now because none of my team.
Yeah.
It's not my issue. But if you're a coach and you're seeing your social media department throwing out a clip of what the inner sanctum sort of team huddles, I'd be like, whew. Do we want that gun?
Too late now.
Too late.
It's been seen by 10 million.
Like, what happens if you like really go deep and you start abusing, like identifying opposition people, saying this about
you got to be careful.
You'd have to be careful.
Yeah, you got to be very careful.
Yes.
Hey, 30 years of Super Rugby,
Yes.
30 icons that we're doing on the Aftermatch. What are we up to now? About 8. We've had Cully, Joali and Rupini. We've had Victor, Larkham. We've gone to Aaron Smith,
Yes.
Todd Blackadder. Where are we going this week?
Well, I thought I for one get very nostalgic, and I just cannot forget about our South African friends and what the contribution and why
huge.
why Super Rugby was without a doubt the greatest rugby competition in the world. It just hands down was. And then I went back to thinking about who's this week's icon going to be, and I landed on my icon. But then I remembered one of his iconic moments. And then look, Kirst, maybe I've had too much time on my hands this week, but I ended up watching the game of the iconic moment. And of course,
what game?
It was the all South African final of 2007 at Kings Park, one of the greatest rugby stadiums in the world, without a doubt, as far as phenomenally intimidating steep stands, but also the aftermatch and the people and the car park outside where all the brides are going and the freedom that players get to walk through it and mix with the locals. It's truly a special day. I digress. The 2007 final, the first and maybe the only all South African final, Sharks playing Bulls, Sharks hosting it obviously, and a plethora. And I use this
Give us the name.
Well, I'll rattle some straight off.
Okay.
So obviously with the Bulls, you've got all the icons. You've got Matfield, Buckies, Spieth, who else? Steenkamp up front, Habana. Hoggard was the 10. Mornay was actually on the bench. Hoggard was equally as dead-eyed dick with the boot. And then through to Pre, of course, the greatest 9 in some people's eyes of all time. And across in the Sharks team, you still had the Percys of the world were still floating around.
So you had the mixed generation.
Francois Steyn, of course. And just on a side issue, this is the year that they go and win the World Cup. And when you think about the names that were rattling off in the final, you can understand why. Pienaar, Butch James, Peterson, John Smith, of course, at captain. Ackerman was still going around. Johan Muller, AJ Venter, Kankowski on a hard deck, and you're going backwards, Kirst, was an absolute nightmare. He was as fast as a winger, rangy number 8. Geez, nightmares coming back there. They got us a few times, the Sharks. But, like, just, as we said, a plethora of Springboks. And rewatching it, I knew that our set icon had the moment to win it all.
They could all be in this Icons top 30.
But if you can't quite remember, it's the 78th minute mark. The Sharks score a try, go 19-13, 6 up. They missed the conversion to take it out past the 7 point. And then the Bulls go and score a try, and our icon this week scores the match winner. It's the one and only Brian Habana. And again, if you think Brian Habana scored a try, you think maybe on the end of an overlap, gasses them for 40 metres. No, he got the ball standing still, about 20 out, 5 or so Sharks scrambling, as you would in the last minute of a Super Rugby final to hold them out, ducks back in, and then just with sheer pace gets through a gap that probably only Brian Habana gets. The classic Brian Habana signature swan dive, and then Hoggard goes and ices it with a kick that, it was right beside the post, but classic play from the Sharks. They go early on the charge. They get told to go back, but again, Houmt probably in their head, ruffle his feathers, not Hoggard, goes and drills it. So an iconic game with this week's iconic Super Rugby player, Brian Habana. His try-scoring count for the Bulls, I'd hate to think. Of course, Stormers as well. Cape Town boy there at the end, I think. And just one of the greats of that Bulls team that unfortunately went and got another title in 09. And they got it a bit more comfortably than that one. But we won't go into that too much. But let's just focus in on the 07 final being brilliant and the iconic moment that this week's iconic Super Rugby player got, Brian Habana.
Love it. Fantasy Rugby beef.
Yes.
Are you back on the board? Because there were a few weeks where you needed to pull your socks up and change your fantasy team. I must admit, I was watching the Crusaders in delay on Friday because one child was refusing to go to sleep at his bedtime. And so I was about 15 minutes behind. And by the time I put it on, I realised I haven't changed my team. So I didn't get Cody Taylor, I didn't get Will Jordan, didn't get any of those guys in it. So this is my week where I had an absolute shocker. How about you?
I changed my team 5 minutes into the game. So I got
you
no
didn't
Crusaders.
get any of the Crusaders either.
And it also meant that with only 2 games left.
And you can only have 4 from
each team. Wow. I
hope you had Donaldson.
Do you know who I made captain? And I apologise, Ben.
Who?
Carter Gordon.
Oh, no.
Not good.
So did I.
Yes. See, I wasn't alone. I had Jorgensen. I had Samu, who scored really good points too. But yeah, look, I got 418. But just remember, let us know if you topped our table this week. I was 316th in the aftermatch.
I think I'm about 3016th with where I'm at.
And of course, let us know how you went, and we will get a little prize pack out to you too, because our friends at Black Magic haven't gone anywhere. And if you are going after anything autumn fishing's not bad, Kirst.
What do you get?
Well, you get all the usuals. I'm actually going out with Black Magic in a couple of weeks. So
I can't wait for the pin-up poster.
There'll be snapper, there'll be kingfish coming in. And the thing
coming into my fridge.
Well, you could be. But the great thing at Black Magic is they'll sort you out with all your lures, all your leaders to go and get that autumn fish, because it is a beautiful time to go fishing. And Black Magic gear, the best by test. It'll tackle anything for you, Kirst.
There you go. Predictions, round 9 of Super Rugby. Big one coming up. But we'll start off with the Highlanders against the Brumbies.
In Dunedin?
Yes.
Yes, I'm there.
Yes, you're there.
I'm there.
Why are you? just checking.
Of course, I'm already preparing.
You're there in spirit already.
Landers.
They have to.
Yeah, I'm sending good things, good vibes to the Landers. I think the playoff charge starts now. Cam Miller might be back. Hurley might be back.
I think he is. Jacob Ratumai Tavuki-Netkins out, unfortunately.
So that's a shame. It's an offset. It really is, because Jacob was having probably his best year so far in Super Rugby, most consistent. So that's a shame. But the Landers, week off, reset, here they come.
For me, Brumbies, they almost secure their spot in the 6, despite what you're thinking about these Australian sides at the moment. Moana Pacifica up against the Chiefs. I think this game's in
Rotorua.
Are you there too?
No, I'm not in there.
I'm glad you know now.
I'll be there in spirit, but I won't be there.
They don't get Super Rugby games that often anymore, so good to get a Super Rugby game. They get their Chiefs, even though it's not a Chiefs home game. Yep. This was the game that was supposed to go to Tonga, but they just weren't able to make it work. So the locals of the Bay of Plenty get another Super Rugby match in the regions.
Yeah, and get there too, because although won't be there myself, we used to play probably
International Stadium.
We used to play probably one a year there as the Chiefs. And the thing about it, and it will be no surprise to people who know the geography of our great country, it's a hard track, very pumicy.
Pumicy?
Yeah, well, that's the base.
The sulphur.
Yeah, the sulphur base. Sulphur base. No geysers on the field, but no, wonderful deck, and it's an afternoon game.
Oh, it's a 2 o'clock kickoff.
A 2 o'clock kickoff. Chiefs, Moana, folks, if you're in the BOP, get to Rotorua International Stadium, one of the greats.
Yeah, nice. I'm going Chiefs.
Yeah, I'll go Chiefs.
Okay, great. Drua up against the Force in Fiji.
Drua. Yeah. Too much partying in Brisbane for the Force boys.
This is the big one. I'll be there in Wellington. Canes, Blues.
So all of a sudden,
1v2.
All of a sudden,
this is where we find out about the Hurricanes.
The Cane season gets real.
Vern's got something coming.
Vern will be sitting back going, look at the slot. Look at the slot.
They're very smug right now.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about them. Well, let's take them back a notch.
Bodie Barrett returns to the cake. And I know it's a few years now, but it's still nice, isn't it? The return going up against his brother.
Which way are you going?
Wow.
This is the biggest game of the season, I'd almost say.
Because you know what they do the following week? Like
the Hurricanes go to the Chiefs and Hamilton.
Like I did say maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe there's one hand on the title. The next couple of weeks will determine how tight it is, you know? So
loosening the grip now.
Loosening the grip, who knows? I'm going to go for Canes, but strap yourself in. There's nothing else you're doing on Saturday night. You for no other reason, you got to find out how good the Canes are. I reckon they're good.
Yeah.
But they're going to be tested like never before this year.
It's going to be so close.
Yep.
They're not going to walk all over a team like they did with the Reds.
Well, I'll tell you what, if they do.
Title. Give them you can put 2 hands on there. I'm down there.
Yeah.
So I will say the Hurricanes.
Yes.
Smartly.
And let's not muck around here, Wellington folk. There should be no yellow seats showing. Enough of the yellow seats. The only yellow we should see is your Hurricanes replica jerseys. This should be a sellout.
CJ in a singlet again?
Did I tell you we've had a debrief on that?
Oh, did you catch up with him?
Yes, we had on the pitch.
Yes.
And
was he wearing a singlet at the time?
No, he's polo now. He's very staunch
he's
on
official polo.
And
was it not his proudest moment?
He does say, look, he thought he'd got away with it, but he says the journalistic ability of the Aftermatch got him, and he respects us for that. He's also promised to come on and sit in the studio because he does holiday up these parts of the world.
He does.
So he is going to come up, and he does respect the Aftermatch for picking him up on that, and he apologises because he said somehow no one had said a word, but he did say
after 5 rounds of Super Rugby,
he did say extremely hot.
I did say this, 27 degrees
in the Napier, no aircon box, and he had just been warming up the boys, so he had that justification. But I did say to him too, like, you're in good nick, so respectfully, you can wear your singlet.
Reds Crusaders. Reds gone.
It's in Brisbane, isn't it?
It's in Brisbane.
Yeah, like
Crusaders walk all over them.
I'm sorry, but I can't disagree. You know, the Reds, for that team,
have imploded.
Something's amiss. They need to resurrect that real quick. Or else some pre-season tips look rather foolish, guys.
They do. Considering you're usually the Oracle, babe. I'd
all
love
is
to
not
see
done.
the Force make the 6. Love to see them slip in there. What a story it would be.
It would be a great story.
Or the Waratahs. Either or.
Uh,
Either of them to make the 6. Now, there would be a story.
I can't have your Waratahs doing it because I poo-pooed that, didn't I?
No, but they've got the players to do it.
They got to come a long way from last night.
That's okay.
Okay.
That's okay.
Joseph will do it.
I think so.
Okay.
And Joseph we trust.
And Joseph you trust.
So we'll let you that is. That is the Aftermatch with Kirsten Beebe. Like and subscribe on our social media platforms and share with all your mates as well to make sure they all know that we're out there. Thanks for joining us and we'll see you next week.